Kevin Gordon here from Autosavant.com with your January 23rd edition of the Afternoon Commute. Today we bring a special guest to the program, snow. It finally snowed in the Northeast. It's quite amazing. Had a chance to drive the Accent in the snow. It's been doing quite well. No complaints. Today we've got 5 things to talk through, starting with the Chevrolet Volt. So the federal investigation into the battery fires that were happening with the Chevy Volt concluded that there's no defect or fault with the Chevy Volt. Still, Chevy is going to remodel some of the structure around the battery to attempt to, keep any kind of intrusions from happening into the battery department, but ultimately it's been decided that there isn't anything wrong with the Volt. What a lot of people thought was different about this case is normally when there's no findings with these types of things, the investigation team doesn't report anything. And in this case, they did actually release a report talking about the fact that there was, nothing found wrong. Later today, a bunch of dealers have been reported to be refusing deliveries of the Volt. And, as a result of the public image of the Volt's been scorned. I have to believe that they're refusing deliveries of the Volt because the Volt's actually an expensive car for what you're getting. I mean, it's technologically interesting, I'll give it that. But, it's still an expensive compact car. And so I really don't believe that the public in general knows enough about what was going on with the investigations of the Volt for dealers to really, make these decisions. But who knows? We shall see what happens with that. Next up, do you remember that 427-inch collectible commemorative edition of the Chevy Corvette Convertible that is going to be fundamentally the Z06 engine with the wider Grand Sport body and the magnetic ride control from the ZR1? Well, the first one of those went across the auction block at Barrett Jackson in Arizona this weekend, and somebody paid $600,000 for it. I mean, $600,000 for a car that, it's a $100,000 car, and I'm sure it'll be collectible one day, which is great, but $600,000 for a car that really the unique thing about it is its VIN ends in 001. Congratulations. A bunch of other things sold at Barrett Jackson this weekend. The Barrett Jackson craze, the fact that speed covers it on TV, kind of amazes me. I mean, all Barrett Jackson ever does for me is prove that we should be taxing the rich in this country more. But I suppose that's a different thing for a different site and a different blog. Third up, Scosche, who makes a variety of accessories for iPhones and MP3 players. And actually, on a complete side, Scosche makes pretty good accessories that are typically inexpensive. So a little plug for them out there. They released a device that if you plug it into the OBD2 port of your car and install an app on your phone, blocks all cellular activity once the car that it's in is in motion. Now, supposedly, if you set up some kind of hands-free device, the calling functionality of a phone will work, but it just blocks texting, cellular internet, all those types of things. It's $129, and I have to say, I think they should completely mandate these things being required in all cars. I'm not typically a person who's big for getting rid of personal rights, but I can tell you on a daily basis, people are idiots with their cell phones. They're constantly texting, constantly looking for them, and it doesn't seem to be one of those things that, at least in this area, the police are enforcing. So, interesting thing, interesting device. We'll see if we can actually get one to test and let you know how it works. Third on the list, a short one, Volkswagen is still trying to buy Porsche. They've been declined and they keep trying to buy a larger and larger percentage of it. We'll see if it happens. I have to believe at this point it's inevitable, but we shall see what happens. Fourth for today, the Nissan GT-R got more expensive this year. It's almost 100 grand now. And people are, I think, a little upset about this, but let's face it, it's $100,000 worth of supercar. Nissan seems to be really starting to finally sell it for the price that it should have been. I mean, they made headlines with how inexpensive it was in the beginning, and of course, in comparisons, people always talked about the fact that, you know, if you factor in the price of this car against, say, a 911 Turbo, the value, blah, still, it's worth $100,000. They should be selling it for $100,000. It's fine. And finally for today, and I end today on an annoyed note, over the weekend, I was actually tweeting with the guys from Sport Speed Life about the fact that the Circuit of the Americas, the track that's going to be hosting the 2012 United States Grand Prix down in Austin, Texas, announced the fact that to get premium seating, so home straight grandstand seating, they're going to be selling seat licenses. So for a price range between $1,000 and $5,000, you get the privilege of buying tickets from them that'll be outrageously expensive for the next 15 years. It's really a shame. I mean, one of the things I tweeted was, you know, if you attended the U.S. Grand Prix that was in Indy when they had the tire debacle and only 4 out of the cars raced and, you know, the low-level cars finished 4th and 5th, you get some kind of discount back. I mean, let's face it, Formula One in the United States does not have a long-standing history anymore. I mean, back to whatever it was, the Watkins Glen days and Lime Rack and stuff, right? Today, it doesn't really have a huge following in the U.S., and you could only hope, I mean, I get the fact they're building a whole track for this thing here, and it's an expensive thing to do, you know, FIA rules around what the track has to be and how it has to work and how the pits need to be. All of those things are insane. Still, trying to charge exorbitant rates to come see the race is going to be a mistake. I mean, the rich, I'm sure, will go out and buy them, and good for them, but I was very disheartened to hear the news that that is going to happen. So there's your January 23rd afternoon commute update from Autosavant.com. All in one take today, if you notice. There'll be no cuts in this entire video. First time ever. I should cut out the fact that I just tried to put the car in third as I pulled away from this light. Anyway, there's your update. Of course, if you're viewing this, you're probably already following us on Twitter and Facebook, but just in case, Twitter @Autosavant, Facebook /Autosavant, and Autosavant.com for all the written materials. Enjoyed it, and I will talk to you tomorrow.